Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? All right. Very important topic for today. And I've been having all these ideas and I've been going live because it's like I get this thing and I'm like, you guys need to know this. So we need to talk about this right now. So here is what we're talking about. This matters more than your talent. What could that be, right? So here's where I want to start. So many of you guys get caught up in the comparison game. Now, I know you know what that is, right? So let me see a show of hands. You can go ahead and comment, right? How many have you been waiting in an audition, listening to everybody sing before you and judging them and comparing yourself to them? Like hearing the girl before you, oh my God, she's so good. How am I going to go after that, right? How many of you might be at an open mic or an industry showcase and you're comparing yourself to the person who went right before you doing the same thing? Or here's a good one. How many of you might be at a rehearsal listening to your colleagues sing and you're doing the same old compare and despair in your head and it's killing you? Because what happens when you get up to sing and then you're all like contracted because you're worrying about if you stack up, right? Or this, how many of you guys even watch all these silly shows like The Voice and American Idol and compare yourselves to those guys? How do I stack up? Come on. I know you do this. I know you guys do this because I hear it from you all the time. You can out yourself, own it in the comments, right? So here's the thing. You guys, what is worse is that when someone who you per se, I have all these ideas and I can't even speak today, guys. Sorry, it's the end of the day. When you see somebody who you think has even less talent than you and is having big success, that one is really hard to swallow because there seems to be no rhyme or reason why this person is making it and you're not. And so when we feel like it's just too hard to continue to put in all of this time and effort and energy only to be at the whims of this like really unpredictable industry, it's so frustrating. And when we feel that way, we have trouble staying the course and doing what we need to do to succeed. So we eventually quit. We give up on this thing that we love. We let the dream fade farther and farther and farther into the rearview mirror. We start hating ourselves, resenting the life that we do have. Or worse, maybe we don't give up, but we stay stuck where we are. And then we're never able to live that passion and that purpose as a performer in the way that we want to. And so then we become bitter and jaded, which affects everything that we do and everybody else in our lives. And so here's what I want you guys to understand. The stakes are just too high to continue to operate this way. This compare and despair that you engage in all the time, it leads to two places. Either a stagnating career with bitterness and resentment or giving up. Giving up. And I don't want either of those things for you. So there's really two important things that I want you to know. The first is success is not binary. You know what that means? That just because somebody over here is having great success and got the gig that you wanted this time doesn't mean that you won't do it next time. And it also doesn't mean that they're a better singer than you or that they're more talented than you. All it means is that who that person has become as a singer up to this point and how that person has been showing up for themselves to do that, it's allowed them to be the best singer that they could be in the moment for this opportunity when it presented itself. And so when those two things align, who somebody is being and how they're showing up for themselves in the moment, when those two things align, that's when success happens. That's when the most powerful aligned singing and the most reliability in terms of your technique tends to come forward. And so here's what I want you to know. This is really important. Talent is universal. There are a lot of people out there with loads of talent. Talent is universal, but opportunity is not. I'm going to say that again because it's so important. Talent is universal and opportunity is not. So many talented people out there, a majority of whom you have never, ever heard of. But the flip side of that coin is that the most successful singers are not always the ones with the most talent. But they are the ones who have internalized the statement that I just made. talent is universal, opportunity is not. And because there's a lot of people with talent, but there are just not a lot of opportunities. So what makes the difference? What makes the difference? It's who you become and how you show up in your singing and your career so that you maximize the opportunities when they do come, or even know that something is an opportunity in the first place. Because despair and compare and compare and despair, it puts some serious blinders on you guys. And so when I ask singers, what is the biggest problem in your singing life right now? And I will tell you, I hear the same things all the time. I just need the right casting agent to give me a shot, or I just need the right record producer, or the right record label to take a chance on me. I just need an opera company to finally cast me and give me that shot. Okay, yeah, meeting a big time producer would be great. Getting a record label meeting is a big opportunity, right? Landing a top tier agent or getting that audition at an A-level opera house for that, big show, or getting invited to audition for a big equity tour. Those are serious opportunities. But those opportunities are going to elude you as long as you stay in the woe is me, compare and despair game, because when you're there, all you're focused on are all of the big things that you don't have. And then you miss the smaller opportunities that you may not have even realized are opportunities to begin with. And so those are the things that are going to lay the foundation for who you become and how you show up in your singing in your career, so that the bigger opportunities are no longer elusive. And when they show up, you are ready for them. So I want to tell you a story about a singer that I met recently who was super frustrated in her career. She'd spent a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money making her first EP and releasing it. And I think she said something like she spent like $20,000 between paying her producer and engineers and session musicians and mixing and mastering and photo shoots and video production, the whole 9 yards, okay? And she spent all of this money, all of this time, and she released it to very little success. And it didn't gain any traction. And it was heartbreaking for her. And I listened to it. And in truth, she's a talented singer. She is. But it was not really an authentic representation, though, of her and of her talent and of her real authentic voice and her authentic gifts. It was like a misfire in a lot of ways, mostly when it came to the songwriting and the production. And she was really down on herself. And all that compare and despair was like in full bloom, in full effect, because some other girl that had used the same producers as she did and had a single that actually made it onto one of the big Spotify major playlists. And she could not understand why this other girl was having success when she was a better singer. And she was convinced that what she needed to do was to find a publicist and to pay them to do a viral campaign for the single. And that was going to be the thing. That was what was going to get heard and launch her career. And so meanwhile, at the same time, somebody from this well-known songwriting workshop had found her music online and was offering her a spot in a pretty well-known songwriting boot camp. And so the publicist and the songwriting boot camp, they cost about the same amount of money. It was the same investment. So which one do you think that she did? Did she do the songwriting boot camp, or did she do the publicist? Type into the chat. What do you think? I'm going to tell you. She spent her money on the publicist. And what do you think happened? What do you think happened? Did the viral campaign work? Right. It didn't work. Because all of her compare and despair caused her to choose the publicist because of all those feelings of inadequacy, of not measuring up to where she thought she needed to be, and that she just needed, if just people could just hear her, then she would be big just like this other girl who she's comparing herself to. And so all of that inadequacy is not measuring up and comparing herself to this other person. They were just too hard to bear, and she needed to do something to get out of that discomfort. So she chose the publicist because that was what was going to get her heard. That was what was going to allow her to be big, just like this other singer who she was comparing herself to, who released at the same time. But here's the thing. When we're feeling like that, when we're feeling all that inadequacy because of the compare and despair to these other artists out there who are doing things that we want to be doing, that we think that we're good enough to be doing, and we think that our talent is better than theirs, and yet we're not succeeding and they are. All that compare and despair. When we're feeling like that, we want a quick fix. We don't want to feel like that. And the quick fix is usually something that's not aligned. It's usually something that just makes us feel better because it makes us feel like we're doing something, anything, so that we don't have to sit with the discomfort of our own shortcoming. So to this singer, the problem was not that the record was a misfire. The problem was not enough people had heard it. But guys, it's just lipstick on a pig. And I say this not to be mean. I say this because it doesn't serve you to sugarcoat it, okay? This talented singer dumped several $1,000s down the drain on a viral campaign for a song that would have been able to do that on its own had it been aligned. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that her compare and despair, all that stinking thinking prevented her from seeing the real opportunity. And the real opportunity was the boot camp. But she brushed it off. It wasn't something that was going to immediately deal with that fear that languishing EP was creating for her. Right? The fear that she'd wasted all her time and energy and money on a project that was a misfire. And what she made that mean about herself. She didn't want to deal with that fear, the fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, the fear that she wasn't getting any younger. And so this EP had to break now. See, because the boot camp didn't immediately help her sell this EP. It didn't immediately assuage those fears, that feeling of less than and inadequacy. So because of that, the boot camp wasn't even a consideration. It wasn't seen as an opportunity in the same way. But if you ask me, the boot camp was the real opportunity. The universe had put that in her path. And it could have dramatically changed the trajectory of her songwriting and her artistry so that the next EP was more aligned and therefore more successful. But she missed it because of the blinders that the compare and despair and the discomfort that the fear of that put in her. So she missed the real opportunity. And so for now, she's going to stay stuck. And she's going to keep creating the same outcomes, the same misfires until something gives. And so it reminds me about this old parable about the old man and the snowstorm. Do you guys know this? So I'll say it real quick. So an old man gets stuck in a snowstorm and he's buried in the snow and he can't get out. And so he prays to God, God, please save me, please save me. He's praying to God, please save me. And nothing happens. And the next day, a truck driver drives by and sees him and asks if he's okay. And the man is like, yes, God will save me. God will save me. And so I don't need help. I'm good. So the truck driver drives on. And another day goes by and he's still praying, please, God, save me, save me. And nothing happens. And a boy with a dog walks by and the boy asks him if he's okay. And the old man says, I'm okay. God will save me. And so the boy and the dog walk by, and that night the man is pleading with God, God, please save me. It's been 3 days. Like, why haven't you saved me? Why haven't you saved me? And God answers back, I'm doing my best. I sent you a man in a truck to lift you out. I sent you a boy with a dog to dig you out. What more do you want? I said, the old man, he had blinders on. He had a single-minded idea about what he needed, which was for God himself to come and lift him out of the snow. And it made it so that the old man could not see the real opportunities that God in the universe was sending him to help his situation. It's the same thing that happened to this young, talented singer that I was telling you about. The opportunity for her to do the songwriting boot camp was exactly what she needed for who she had to become in her artistry. And it was giving her the opportunity to show up to her career in a completely different way, to move the needle on the things that are really going to make a difference to her. That was the big opportunity that she missed, which she didn't even see because she had the blinders of the compare and despair on. So you really have to look at your beliefs. In my program, the work that I do with singers, I have singers spend a lot of time looking at their beliefs, shifting the lens through which they experience their singing, their talent, their goals, the things that they want for themselves and their artistry and their careers. Because guys, this compare and despair lens, it's a major foggy, distorted lens that completely distorts your perception of the experience you're having. So I spend a ton of time teaching the singers in my program how to stack their beliefs to counteract and prevent themselves from getting stuck in that distorted perception that doesn't serve them, their technique, their energy, or the impact that they want to make with their voice and have the careers that they can do once they're making that impact. And so the bottom line is this, guys. It is really, really hard to see your own patterns. It's really hard to see your own limiting beliefs because most of the time you're just too close to them to see it. And it's really hard to break the compare and despair cycle and habit without a proven practice and an experienced guide who has a lot of strategies to help you do that and the support, because this stuff doesn't just shift overnight, right? And so that's why I do the work with singers that I do. And that's why I'm inviting you to examine your own beliefs today, specifically around your tendencies to compare and despair, knowing where that takes you. Because I don't want you to have to suffer any more consequences of your own lack of awareness for one more minute. I don't want you to have to miss any more opportunities. I don't want you to be able to look back and regret that you didn't fight for this career, for this journey, for this passion when you had the chance. I want you to be able to see what the universe is handing you and be able to grab it wholeheartedly with wholehearted commitment so that you can get where you want to go. So when you think about what opportunities you can identify that the universe has put in your path that you might not have realized are actual opportunities for you to get where you want to go. Right? Maybe it's something like that singer and it's a workshop or some kind of training program. Maybe it's performing in a venue or collaborating with people that you ordinarily would not. See what the universe is putting in front of you and don't discount it. Go for it. Right? Especially when it's becoming clear that our industry, as we know it, it's not going to exist in the same way for some time. We're just coming out of, the COVID drama from the last 18 months. And a lot of things have changed forever. First round auditions are all going to be self-tape. That's just the way that it's going. Being able to engage and do live performances like tiny desk concerts and virtual things, these things are here to stay. But just because things have changed doesn't mean that you all of a sudden just lie down and hang up your cleats because this is doing stuff that's different that you don't understand or that you don't know, right? There's like a huge amount of compare and despair that goes on in this industry, even now, where maybe even in the absence of COVID, things would be different, like comparing to what life was like before COVID to what's like now, how many auditions you'd be out on if it wasn't for this, how many gigs you'd have otherwise, going down the rabbit hole with all that stinking thinking that's been going on for the last 18 months. That will take you down. It will. Because when you're in that thinking, you are attached to what was instead of what is. And those are some serious blinders, my friends, that it causes you not to notice the opportunities that are right under your nose, where you can engage in your art, your creativity, your talents in totally innovative, different ways, which might actually propel your career far better than what you might have been doing before COVID. So stop engaging in the compare and despair game. It's like that old Saturday Night Live skit where the guy goes into the therapist's office and goes into all these things about all his problems. And the therapist is like, just stop it. And the guy's like, yes, but aren't we going to talk about my problems? And the therapist's like, stop it. This is that, you guys. This is that. Stop engaging in the compare and despair. We all have our own path. So take the blinders off, and ask yourself, what can I do? How am I going to spend this time so that I get to come out the other side better positioned in my singing, in my mindset, in my career, in my technique? And if you need some help with this, a proven strategy, a plan for how to do this, then I'm going to put the link to book a call with me down in the video description. And I will do my best to support you in understanding what are the things that are getting in your way right now. What are the issues? What's the gap between where you are and where you want to go? And are you ready? Are you really ready to do the work? And what I mean by that is, don't book this call unless you understand that you are done getting sidelined by all of these things that we talk about. And here's the catch. This call is not for everybody, right? So here's who this call is for. You must be an experienced, talented singer who already has training. This offer is not for singers who are looking to start their journey. So if you're a new singer, if you've never invested in training before, never worked with a coach consistently for a period of time, this offer is not for you. Go do that first. There's a basic level of technique and information that once you have it, you'll feel a lot more confident in how you're showing up. Second thing is you must really care about creating transformation in your singing and in your career and in your life. You know, there is no substitute for really wanting to give your best and impacting others with your voice and changing your life doing it. This stuff is not easy, guys. It is not easy. We can make it really simple for you, and we do with a lot of cutting edge techniques, but nobody's going to make it easy. There is no substitute for passion and commitment. You have got to really, really want this life with your voice and your talent and your career. And the third thing is you've got to have grit and tenacity. You know, all the singers that we've worked with, when you see singers talking about the successes that they've had from doing this work, they've all gone through major breakthroughs in their singing and their careers because they have worked hard. They've invested in their training. They've invested in their careers. They have persisted through multiple challenges. Now, look, they had our help. We were holding their hands every step of the way. But in no way, shape, or form is getting your singing and yourself to the place where you have a reliable sound and a thriving, successful career easy. You have got to be willing to do the work. So if that's you, and you would like our help to do that, then I want to invite you to book a call with me. And I'll put the link in the description. You can see below. So, all right, guys. I will get off my soapbox now. I just want you to think about these things that we were talking about today and how they affect you. And if you'd like our help to parse out and get these transformations sooner so that you don't keep creating the same mistakes and missing the same opportunities because you've got your blinders on, if you'd like our help to be able to transform so that you not have the blinders on anymore, then use that link that's in the description. And next time I have a big idea that I need to share with you guys, I'll be right back on here on live. So enjoy, have a wonderful Monday, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. If you want to subscribe, click the link right over there that says subscribe. And if you want to book a breakthrough session with me, which you absolutely should do, then click the link right over here that says book a call to schedule an appointment to speak with us. I'll see you on the next episode.